Okay, we'll get started right here in about a minute or so. And Martha, just let us know when you can begin.
You're good.
All right, fantastic. Welcome everybody. I'm Bill Militello. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Localvest, and I'm here with my co-founder, John Bracken, who's in the audience, and together we'd like to thank you for attending our lunch with Localvest as part of our Launch with Localvest series. And I want to tell you before we get started, we've got some really great presentations today, but I want to talk to you about Localvest for a moment and how we serve veterans. Really, our mission is to build the largest, if we're not already the largest community of military veterans investing and supporting military veteran entrepreneurs and business owners. You know, we believe everyone who fought to defend the American dream has every right and to have a shot at living it for themselves. And so that's our mission here at Localvest, and you're going to hear from some great presenters. We encourage the audience to ask questions in the chat. I might pick a few of those questions. I've certainly done it in the past and thrown some curveballs by these presenters. And also, there's going to be polling. And, you know, assuming the polling feature works this month, we're going to ask you some questions. And hey, so there's some questions that are going to kind of come up, and we're going to use that information to better serve you and help bring you content that you're looking for. So with that, I already said that we've got two great presentations here today. I can't wait to hear about the great things they have to say. So without further ado, the Launch with Localvest, let's get things started. First up today is one of our two presenters is Lawrence Nunn. Hey, that's not Lawrence, that's somebody else. But there's Lawrence. Okay, so let me introduce Lawrence has a friend sitting next to him. So, but let me introduce Lawrence first, and then you guys can chat. So Lawrence Nunn, he's a businessman, academic, combat veteran. He spent 20 years leading high-performance military units. His experience spans commanding troops and combat deployments, overseeing top-secret Pentagon cyber capabilities, leading incident response teams at the U.S. Cyber Command, and scaling early-stage tech products into a 9-figure-a-year government program. He's currently co-founder and CEO of Cyberspatial. Remember that name. With him today is Ricky Tan, the other co-founder and COO of Cyberspatial. Welcome, Ricky. Ricky has over 15 years of applied cybersecurity experience in various fields, to include penetration testing, digital forensics, network engineering, systems administration, and security architecture. He served in various activities with the government, such as Defense Advanced Projects Agency, DARPA, for those of you who are in the know, the Department of Defense, and the intelligence community, of course. Ricky is the host of Cyberspatial, a YouTube channel with over 140,000 subscribers, making cybersecurity more accessible to people. So, wow, that was a mouthful. So welcome to both of you, and I'll turn it over to you guys to tell us more about why you're here today. And maybe you want to introduce your guest, Lawrence.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm joined here with one of our early investors, Mr. Sean Drake.
Great to be here.
So let's do this. I'm super excited. Do we have the slides up?
Yeah, sure. Well, welcome, Sean. I'm sure the two of you sitting next to each other means that there's something going on. I'll hit that in a Q&A. So we'll leave people in suspense until then.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So
All right.
again,
Take it away, Lawrence.
thank you so much. I'm Lawrence Nunn. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Cyberspatial. I was one of the first cyber officers of the Army, and I've been in a lot of networks, whether it's Pentagon programs, special ops, leading cyber teams. I've seen a lot. I was actually tasked to solve one of the biggest cyber problems in the Department of Defense. It was something that was formally requested by every four-star command. So we secured emergency funding, and screened hundreds of candidates to build this team of top operators that joined me. My co-founder Ricky Tan was number one. Together, we scaled a proof of concept into a $170 million a year government program to help military cyber teams make months of work happen in days. So since then, we've taken those lessons learned and we're building something far more powerful, solving some of the same pain points we experience in the military for the commercial market. And the feedback we receive has been amazing. From people that run like some of the most sensitive networks in the Navy, folks that are involved in our supply chains, to large-scale companies like Saab and Dow Chemicals. They've already got enterprise security software, and they're still interested in what we're doing. So we also won the National Security Innovation Network's award for visualizing cyber operation, and that actually puts us on the fast track to government contracts and an opportunity to be on every Navy ship in the fleet. And, it was because almost every organization that I've seen throughout my career, they have a common theme.
Yeah, and that common theme is that in cybersecurity, we can't see the networks that we're trying to protect. As a practitioner, I'm overloaded with data. We're understaffed. We lack the basic tools to be able to visualize, describe, and explain what's happening on the network. So if I wanted to understand what's going on, I have to read through gigabytes of log data and config files, third-party tools, spreadsheets, dashboards, and ultimately stitch all of that in a whiteboard or Visio diagram. And there's entire teams at places like the NSA, Cyber Command, whose full-time job it is to build network diagrams by hand because it helps them do their job easier, more efficiently. I'm really talking about using 20th century tools in a modern digital environment until now. And we're changing that, right, by building a cloud-based platform that turns your cyber data into security footage so users can watch what's happening just like a video. Right. What that does is it simplifies those complex events and alerts. It lets people collaborate in a shared visual language and ultimately be able to work faster and easier, right? Such as understanding, an attacker sending malicious activity to a victim device on the network and what the victim device was doing at the time. And so how it works is we take user uploaded data and we process it 100% passively to provide you a multi-layer network map, right? And we, everything from packet captures, vendor logs, config files, right? We process that 100% passively to produce that network map, traffic inventory, timeline that you can skim through and layer on your security analytics on top of that, all visually. And really what that does is, by providing all these features in an all-in-one collaborative app, we're able to really beat out our top competing competitor categories, things that practitioners in cybersecurity are already using, tools like Lucid Charts or Visio, asset discovery and monitoring tools, which tend to be more on the enterprise side.
Yeah, and we have some really promising companies in our sales pipeline, everything from government and commercial markets. We've got over 1,100 signups that are already that came through our webpage. And they represent a tremendous opportunity to include some reseller opportunities. The folks are excited about the capability and are looking to take this capability to their clients. One of my favorite things is our team. Our team is world class. We've got decades of experience. in startups, data science, cyber engineering, VR, game dev, web application development. It's crazy. And the best thing about it is we've all worked together before. So we have a team that's incredibly cohesive. You know, in the beginning, Ricky told you that organizations can't see the networks they protect. And just to demonstrate the prevalence of that problem, automated network mapping and information environment visualization is Cyber Command's #2 priority in their technical challenge problem set. Cyberspatial, we're here to fix that for the security industry and for the public sector. And we're excited to bring this capability to the market. What are your questions?
Yeah, well, fantastic presentation, gentlemen. That's you're solving a massive problem. So a couple of questions, just to dive in a little bit deeper. It seems almost unbelievable. Why hasn't this been done before? Why hasn't this network traffic ever been visualized before in an automated fashion?
Yeah, so I have some slides for that. That's a great question. Thank you. So when we talk about visualizing the network, they're usually, you're really talking about something the military calls situational awareness. And over the last decade, I found that there are 3 things required to do that effectively. The first thing is your graphic capacity. The next is like deep analytics. And then the last is the spatial context. So when I talk about graphic capacity, it's the ability for a medium to display information in a human consumable format. It's a combination of both compute and design. And many organizations have tried this before, and designers knew what they wanted, but the hardware and software wasn't up to the challenge until recently. We talk a lot about, I think I had to see a question about Tanian and some other things in the chat. Well, our platform supports 5,500 protocols and applications, and it's 100% passive. We haven't installed anything anywhere. We're not scanning anything. We're literally just looking at traffic. You could bring your traffic to us on a hard drive, and we can do the same thing. We support 5,500 protocols and applications. We're 2.5 times better than our nearest analytic competitor. But that product isn't visual and chokes on files that are larger than about a gig. We support 20x more protocols than products that can support enterprise flows like Telesair can. And we're the first to make this type of deep analytic support affordable. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's
so finally, like, there's no.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
No, that's good. I can go on all day, so I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well,
the bottom line is really, really hard, and we spent a lot of money trying to figure this out, and we've done that, and now it's time to bring it to the market at an affordable price because we think that's going to kill it.
All right. Awesome. Well, let's move to those investor type of questions. So it's clearly you're innovating. Nobody's done this before. You're the leader in the space. What's your revenue model?
Yeah, and so kind of when we look at revenue model, right, we are going after a market of, I think that's what makes us the most competitive and, is our distribution model compared to everyone else. So rather than going after the enterprise market first, we're going after a market of over 4 million cybersecurity practitioners, right? So direct to professionals, and it's growing at over 20% a year, this market, right? We're targeting initially your cyber analysts, instructors, incident responders, so kind of those blue team defenders. We have over 100,000 of those on our marketing list. And so, just to kind of put numbers in perspective, there are over 1,100 users at our average paid tier, right? Puts us cash flow positive at almost 2 million ARR. So this is talking about $100 a month, right? $250 a month, right? To buy any other, most cybersecurity vendors, you have to pay them somewhere between a Mercedes and a Ferrari, right? 60 grand, 200, 300 grand every single year to have access to that product, right? Individual professionals can't afford that, but they can afford professional prices. And by doing this, we're able to skip the 12 to 18 month enterprise sales cycle, right? For these traditional cybersecurity sales where you knock on doors, talking to different stakeholders right? Going after the professionals first, the users provide us a foundational source of cash flow and product feedback, and they end up becoming our sales force back into those enterprise markets on both the government and commercial side. In terms of customer acquisition costs, I'm talking about, single to double digits dollars per user, right? So anywhere from 10, 20, $30 acquisition cost per user at the high end compared to an enterprise, right, cost, which are going to be well into the five figures, right, to acquire that.
Right,
that user.
and that's and you're looking at you're speaking primarily of the commercial space, right? Not the government market.
Yes, commercial space, right? And we're able to provide this very affordably because we take some of the most powerful back-end engines and products that are enterprise grade, but we distribute it and spread it out over a cloud subscription model, right, for individuals and teams. And it provides us a land and expand strategy to be able to then upsell to their employers, right, where they work in.
Very interesting. So when do you start to make money? How soon?
Yeah, so we're going to hit the market in the next 60 days.
Yeah, and do you think, and so hitting the market commercially and from a government perspective, or one or the other?
Oh, that's actually a great question. So we have bids out to the government right now, several bids out to the government right now, but the commercial launch is what we're really focused on, and that is in the next 60 days. So, in fact, I'm headed over to Softworks tomorrow to pitch some government customers. So we are focusing on both that dual use, both commercial and the government customer.
Yeah. Terrific. So there's a bunch of questions coming in the chat around your SaaS model, but in particular, is SaaS the only place you see yourself? Ricky kind of intimated that there might be, through this land and expand strategy, the ability to go enterprise in the future. Where do you see yourself?
Yeah, so thank you for that one too. So yes, we absolutely have enterprise offering that we are maturing. The enterprise adds some complexity, but also a lot of opportunity, and we plan to launch that in the next year. But along with the enterprise and the SaaS, we're also offering this ultra portable kit, something that is much different than any incident response handler has had in the past. We are able to do a petabyte of processing on a laptop based off of our reduction in compression, and our algorithms are efficient enough to run at 10 gigabits per second. So on a laptop, you have a powerhouse. It's literally the power of a Fortune 50 cybersecurity stack, and it's in your backpack. So super excited about that, and that's one of the products that we're taking over to Softworks tomorrow.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. That's exciting. So let's get back to sort of pricing and the users. Is this for the technical user or for the non-technical user?
Yeah, so this pricing, it's a professional tool for technical users, right? And so when you look at something like Adobe Creative Cloud for creative professionals, artists, right? It's priced somewhere, $50 to $90, right, a month for that license. And so kind of at the very entry level, we're looking to have a free tier. We have $100 a month tier, and we also are looking to have $250 and up. And so it's a price that's, meant for students, practitioners. It's easily accessible, and our margins are well over 90%.
Okay. So
yeah, I just want to jump on that as well, Bill. If you don't
Sure.
mind, if you look back at the 90s, Avid Media Composer was over $100,000. And that was in 1990, and that was a video editing software kit. And then Adobe came out with Adobe Premiere. They revolutionized the industry. That was 30 years ago, and Adobe is still on top. That's the model that we really want to look at. Because yes, it's an enterprise. It can work in the enterprise, but we also have something for the professional to use as well.
Terrific. And there was another, I know you addressed it in your presentation, but you guys, there is a question in the chat about how does implementation work? You said that this is completely passive, so I'm assuming that tell us a little bit about how someone can actually use this without it being having to go through all all the wickets of acceptance in a department.
Yeah, in cybersecurity, one of the main pain points is really that time to value, right? For a practitioner who's already has a lot of work, right? He doesn't have the time and effort to go get authorization to be able to put boxes on the network, to be able to, plug things and install and configure, right?
And you're not suggesting that, right? You're not suggesting about putting new boxes on the network, correct?
Right. That cyber practitioner, right? She can't, go and do everything and touch without the IT side of the house, kind of really getting upset. And so, but what they do have, right, is lots of data, right, that they have to analyze and work through. And they don't have a really good way to visualize it and to work through it quickly, right? In that when we were in the service, right, making it accessible, right, visually, right, in a map, right, that was able to take operational time from months into days, right, for us. And so we were able to really see a huge reduction in time. And that's right, really the main value proposition for these users.
Terrific. Terrific. And just for a clarification for everybody on the chat, that's joining us today, this is an introduction to cyberspatial and to these presenters. If there's an interest in moving forward and learning more, obviously they'll have those conversations with you. You see, if you can, Lawrence, if you can put your contact information back up there, Laura, Martha, you can put their information in the chat. Also, a link to their deal tile and Localvest, and you'll be able to dive into a lot more details with them. This is an opportunity to get to know Ricky and Lawrence and see how these veterans are really innovating. Before we wrap up cyberspatial, you guys are raising money, right? But before that, you've raised money before, obviously, right? There's a product here that actually costs money, and you've been at it for a while, so you've raised money, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
correct. And I'm actually sitting next to one of our lead investors here. Our lead investor.
All right. So so when you're now you're raising more money, right? So this is your Series Seed round. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So we're raising our Series Seed, $2 million. We have a lot of interest. Stone and Lonesome Group is right there leading the charge. Also talking with Squadron and some of the others, and very interested in the Localvest community and how we can work together. To really bring to market.
Yeah, that's terrific. So there's in the short time you've been on Localvest, there's been a pretty big wave of interest in cyberspatial. So congratulations, and one of them is a veteran focused venture capital sitting right next to you, Sean Drake. So tell us how's the round going?
Yeah, I mean, Bill, look, we're glad to be back on the show, I guess, right? We've been around Localvest for a while, long time listener, first time caller kind of thing. But I mean, I think we've been in the veteran entrepreneur space for 12 years. We do a lot in cyber. We do a lot of things related to national security, and we love cyberspatial. We love what Lawrence and Ricky are doing. We're actually broadcasting from the Stone and Lonesome Group global headquarters in Tampa, Florida. And the reason that Lawrence is in town is we've got this amazing event tomorrow where we're going to showcase some of our rock star CEOs in front of SOCOM at an offsite at Softworks. So we're going to talk about some of the capabilities, some of our other companies, and really excited to have these guys in town. One of the things Lawrence talked about was his world-class team. And that's really what Stone and Lonesome Group is all about. It's, providing that mentor capital to get guys up and running. We participated in the seed round, and we're looking to follow on into the A round and help these guys get to the next level. So we're excited to have them in town.
Wow, fantastic! This is a first. A presenter actually brings on their lead investors, already written a check, so that's great news. And a little surprised, it was kind of just launched on me here a few minutes before the call, but listen, it's all good. Hey, keep on kicking butt. You guys are fantastic. Congratulations on your success. The round is still open, correct? And so those people who are, and there's the list of who's who in veteran focused venture capital are definitely doing a deep dive on you guys from what I've heard. And you are accepting individual investors. So anybody who is interested, please check out their deal tile on Localvest. Reach out to Lawrence and Ricky, and they're fabulous guys.
Yeah, I see that, there's
Thank you
some
so much.
questions that, haven't been answered. Happy to answer those. Reach out to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So that please do. That was a great session. I could talk to you guys forever. But unfortunately, we have to end it there and go on to our next presenter. So if anybody again wants to reach out to Lawrence and Ricky, there's some contact information out there in the chat on the slide. And hey, I wish you guys the best, and I look forward to seeing you at SOCOM tomorrow, because I'm gonna be in attendance myself. So fantastic. So we're gonna, before we move on to our next presenter, we want to learn more about the audience. And I said there's going to be some polls. So bear with me. So please go ahead and answer our next poll. And then we'll get, yes, you're a veteran. I am a veteran. I'm going to answer yes. And so I'm a former Marine. I get to hit it twice, I think. No, just kidding. So in any event, so thanks for participating in the poll. And now we're moving on to our next company. And we have with us Eric Heiting, who co-founded VARIO Equity with Tyler Noel. And Eric brings more than 20 years of investment management experience and financial planning experience. Not to mention, he's just a heck of a nice guy. And during those 20 years, Eric worked for a Fortune 100 company, later founded his own independent registered investment advisory firm. And Eric completed his undergraduate degree at the University of Wisconsin and obtained his certified financial planning certification. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Eric to tell us a little bit more about what VARIO Equity is cooked up in Wisconsin. Thanks.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you very much for having me present, Bill. I appreciate it. And I also want to thank everybody for their service. That's even more appreciated. So thank you. Like you had mentioned, I was I'm a financial advisor, worked for a company, and really wanted to create something better for, first of all, with my clients. And make a long story short, I ended up pairing with Tyler Noel, and we started VARIO Equity. And so we have a really unique investment opportunity that I'm going to share with you. It's actually a timber structure. It's an ESG building. So we'll get into more about what that is. But it's not the typical concrete and steel structure. So the opportunity is going to be in Madison, Wisconsin. And like I mentioned, so the reason why I paired up with Tyler Noel, Tyler has over 20 years experience in the real estate area, especially in Madison. And so it's a just good opportunity for me to work with investors, with my clients, and pair up, and he can find projects. And that's what we've done, is we paired up and have a couple of different going. So this one is unique because it's a development. And so we look at this current slide. So VARIO Equity is Tyler and I, and we spend a lot of time with Compass Properties. Compass Properties have been managing they actually have over 20 years of development and management experience. And they own and operate over 1.5 million square feet of commercial real estate here in Wisconsin. So they know the Wisconsin market extremely well. And as you can see, they have a long list of property management awards. And so instead of trying to recreate the wheel, and it's real hard to get 20 years experience without going through 20 years. So we paired up with them. We rely heavily on them to outsource our projects, help develop projects. And we raise the equity, which I'll get into. The other really cool and unique thing with Compass Properties is that they actually invest in all of our projects as well. So they're right in line with all of our investors to maximize the return. They are investing actually $1.5 million into VARIO Baker's Place. Next slide, please. So for this particular project, we actually have 3 different companies. Of course, I talked about VARIO Equity, which is really where the equity raise comes from. Compass Property is going to be the management and development company, co-developer, but also the Neutral Project. The Neutral Project They build sustainable, ethical, and timeless natural built environments, aim to leave the earth better than what they found it. And they've actually completed completion on development project totaling over 2,000 multifamily units. So they've actually spent 2.5 years working through the city of Madison, Wisconsin, to get all of the approvals through the city, through and then as well as neighborhoods, the construction. It's a long process. So now we are in the ability that we own the land and we're going to start construction in September, October. Again, VARIO Equity is in charge of the equity, and Compass will be help co-developing and managing the project. Next slide, please. So if you've never been to Madison, this is really a nice picture. The picture that's looking at the Capitol, this is actually Lake Monona. And when you look at Baker's Place in the picture below it, Baker's Place is dead center of the isthmus. So Madison is on an isthmus, and the one side, Lake Mendota, is actually a 10,000 acre lake. And on the right side, the south side, I should say, is Monona, and that's a 3,200 acre lake. So so some of our residents will have fantastic views of the Capitol. The Capitol is 1 mile away, due west. And there's also a huge amount of walking and bike paths throughout Madison, and it's a very active community. The current population is 268,000 in Madison, Wisconsin. The greater Madison is a little over 500,000. The US Census Bureau data shows that Madison experienced the fastest growth of any city in the state from 2010 to 2020. They were number one with a population growth rate of 17.7%, or over 40,000 people. Madison is also expected to have a 97.2% rental occupancy rate through 2025. It's a very, very booming city. The growth of Madison is coming from a variety of different areas. I'm just going to focus on a couple. For those of you, maybe you've heard of EPIC, Exact Sciences, and of course the UW healthcare system is very large. It also helps weather recessions compared to coastal markets. EPIC is a very large and profitable private company. They do digital medical records. So Mayo Clinic has them, the Cleveland Clinic, and they actually have over 12,000 employees and over $3 billion of revenue. They'll hire, this is interesting, they're going to hire 2,500 people in the next year. And we have an investor that was looking at the area, knows it well. And he's like, you would not believe how many people from EPIC love to live in the area where Baker's Place is going to be erected. So that's pretty cool. The Exact Sciences is a biotech company. Just real brief, they're the developer of Cologuard, and they're a very huge cancer screening biotech company. They also had 4,000 employees in 2019. They're now at over 6,400 employees. The UW healthcare system employs over 21,000 people, and there's additional, I think there's 3 or 4 other health providers in Madison. If you can see on the lower left you can see a chart for household incomes. I think this is important because if you look at the half a mile radius, you can see there's 1,100 household incomes that have $100,000 income or greater. But if you look out 3 miles, there's actually 14,000 people that have an income of 100,000 or greater, and 2,800 of them actually are over 200,000. Why is that important? Obviously, we want to make sure that our project isn't going to be too expensive for people to live. And when you do the math on our average rent in Baker's Place will be $2,182. So within a 3 mile radius, when you have an income of 100,000 or greater, you have 14,000 people, that's below the $30,000, that $100,000 income, and our rent is below the 30% you don't want to spend more than 30% of your gross income towards living expenses. So we're well in line with where Madison sits and the costs. Next slide, please. So we'll just talk a little bit about VARIO Baker's Place now. It's right on East Washington. It's 1 mile down from the Capitol. It's a sustainably built 206 unit apartment building. And let's see here. We actually chose C.D. Smith to build the building. The reason why we chose them is that, when you build a timber structure, it's not the typical steel and concrete. So there's a lot more details that go into it. And they've already erected 2 projects over in Milwaukee. And so they already have the experience and they know what to do and where to outsource the timber so we don't have months and months delay. So we are outsourcing in the US and possibly Canada. So we're looking at that right now. So why invest in mass timber? So we are projecting a 17% annualized rate of return with about a 5-year holding period. So we're going to start in October and we should be done around September, October of 2024. And so how do we compare this? Well, there are some other buildings that are being built that are timber structures. There's one that's called the Intro. It's in Cleveland, Ohio, and that has 297 units. Ours is 206. So similar, but what's very interesting is that the inflation rent in Cleveland went up 19.3% over the last year. The rents from when they projected over the last year, the Intro is up 30%. So they're getting more money for their rent because of this type of structure. So the average, so they're getting 10% premium on their rents. I
definitely want to get into that in the Q&A and get into the why. I don't want to derail you, but I want to make sure we address that, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. So the other interesting part is that 98%, that building was 98% occupied in 4 months. So completion. So that's just one example. We do have another example. It's actually in Milwaukee, which is 90 minutes from here to the east. And Milwaukee built a 206 unit. It's actually the tallest timber built structure in the world. I believe it's 86 stories. It's pretty impressive. And that, before they were completed, 40% of the project was pre-leased before they were open for business. So, which is unheard of. So it's a very unique structure. One other note to make is that the project itself is going to be, when we're ready to sell it, is going to be over $100 million. So we're not going to have a common person coming in and buying that. We're really focusing on corporations and funds, investment funds that are looking for ESG, environmentally and social governance, to fill their investment void with low carbon, low emission type structures. So we feel as though these projects are, one, going to have higher rents. They're going to have lower decreased costs to heat because they're more efficient. And their cap rates are also going to come down. So it's very exciting. So the last slide, excuse me, next slide, please, is, so what is actually ESG? Basically, it's environmental and social governance. So everything is going to be in the way that we treat people, the way that the builders treat people, the way how we source timber. All of those things are taken in fact or consideration of how these buildings are constructed. It's going to have a green roof, which is kind of interesting as well. But it's mass timber, so it's grown by the sun, 88% less carbon. So with that said, we are 100% moving forward with this project. And what's nice is in the event, we do need more time. So September, we're closing. If we do need more time, we have secured a bridge loan that will take us another year to raising capital if needed. And that is already adjusted into the return of 17%. As well as the Neutral project and VARIO, we're actually guaranteeing up to $4 million on the loan as well. So we believe very, very strongly in this project. Some of that information provided, hopefully you can paint a better picture. So thank you very much.
Terrific, Eric. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can see Eric's contact information up there in the on the slide. And Laura, Martha, if you can put his, there we go. Bang, zoom. Look at that. I didn't even have to get the words out of my mouth. It showed up. And there's Eric's contact information as well as this project's smart share link to his deal tile on Localvest. Really, really unique. I was really fascinated as we were going through the diligence and rehearsals for this, Eric. But before we dive deep into the particulars of this project, tell me a little bit about, why you got into real estate.
It's a great question. So over the last 20 years of working for a Fortune 100 company, that was the number one question people had asked me is, I want to invest in real estate. And then, of course, I go over all the pros and cons of being a landlord and buying a property and the liability and all of this stuff. And they're like, do you have anything else? And so then you look at a REIT, which is traded online, which is basically has high correlation to the stock market. So it really doesn't diversify much. It does a little bit, but I really wanted to have a true brick and mortar solution for investors that they could buy into and go, wow, I own part of that building. And on our other projects, we're paying a coupon of 5%, not on this one, but we're paying coupons of 5%. It provided a lot of stability during this environment. And so it's kind of proven the pudding that, I wanted to create a better mousetrap, and being an independent advisor, I was able to do that.
Terrific. So, there are a lot of real estate investment opportunities. Certainly there's a number of them on Localvest. People are pitched all the time on them. Why is it VARIO Baker's Place? What's so unique and attractive? Maybe you want to underscore a few points about what is unique and attractive about this opportunity.
Yeah, I think in general, because there's a lot of real estate companies everywhere. And so what makes us different? A lot of real estate companies do not have a connection with a management company. So I think that's really cool that we're in line. The Noel family, it's part of a family office. They've invested the 1.5 million through Compass. And knowing that they're going to do their best possible to develop the project, to manage the project, and to get it to 95% occupancy is very, very important. And then working with the Neutral project to bring together such a unique strategy. And of course, based on some of the information, we're looking at we believe better cap rates because of these large corporations looking for these investments, looking to buy a coupon, as well as the environmentally part of it as well. So we think there's an economic value as well as ESG, or being, good to the environment.
So kind of a follow-up to the question that when I interrupted your presentation in the middle. I don't usually do that, but you said something that I'm sure stuck out to listeners, and that is you said something about how renters are willing to pay a premium, and we'll touch on in a second how a prospective buyer's willing to pay a premium and a lower cap rate. Let's touch on the renter for a second. Is that because of your ESG strategy? Is it because it's green roof? Because is it like akin to, hey, I'm willing to spend 50 cents more on a cup of coffee if I know that the beans are like ethically sourced? Is that right? Is that around am I on the right track with that assumption?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? I had a whole bunch of things going through my mind.
Yeah. So, I guess what I'm trying to get at is why does the renter pay that premium? Is it because of the way the project was built, and how it's friendly to the environment, and as a consequence, they're willing to pay a premium, or why is that?
I think there's a variety of different factors. I think the environmentally part of it, especially in Madison, is going to be a huge factor. We are going to have Teslas that they can lease right for the day or for the week, right on our project. So for those individuals that don't want to have a car, they might be willing to pay a little bit more so they can have access to a car if they needed it. But the way that these are structured, and I'm sorry I didn't have the pictures, but when you look at a timber structure, it's completely different than a steel and concrete. There's a lot of timber showing in a lot of the rooms, ceilings, but the posts. So it just has a completely different type of character than a steel structure building would have.
Interesting. Okay, and then let's touch on the out sale a little bit. So clearly, you're able to demonstrate that this would fit a larger. I mean, you're talking about $100 million, right? So you're clearly you're able to demonstrate and how it was built and the materials that were used in the construction, et cetera. That it would fit within a larger financial institution's ESG mandate that they have, that they've either imposed on themselves or other investors have imposed on them, right?
Yes.
And so, as a consequence, is it your assumption, your thesis that these companies will be seeking these types of investments and you'll have one at the ready?
Yes, that's exactly right. Because when you look throughout the country, there's not a lot of timber structures compared to steel and concrete, and the fact that it's over $100 million. So when you put those two together, it gives it a great opportunity. But I think the most important part is the location. If we go back to the slide, but that isthmus, there's limited space. And when you look at how many people live in this area, it's booming. And so I think that it's the location, the setup of Madison being on an isthmus, and then the environmentally part of it, as well as it's just like you said, it's going with the ESG type of investment that they want to make within their portfolio.
Sure. I've never been to Madison before, but in doing some research and obviously the slide about the isthmus, it's beautiful, right? And I can't help but to think of a really nice and pleasant Midwestern, New York City, right, or Manhattan, right? And that they're not making any dirt, and so when a city is constrained, geographically constrained, supply constrained on by water, obviously there's only one place for prices to go, especially given the demand drivers of the corporations hiring and expanding in that area. So it's a really interesting, just from the perspective of built-in demand drivers, supply constrained markets, and now you're adding in this this unique structure. But I'm sure people are thinking about, gee, timber. You keep bringing this up, and yes, understood that it's renewable resource, and that's wonderful. But what about, we all hear about construction projects going awry in the United States, since COVID. How does that compare to, do you have any fear of any sort of supply chain issues with timber being your primary building material?
I'll address that in just a second. I want to make one more comment. So in Madison, you have the Capitol. You cannot build taller than the Capitol. That's why it sticks out so much, because you're limited so not only is there limited space, you're limited how high you can go. Otherwise you could build a 40-story building. They will not allow that in Madison. So there's a little constraint there too on housing. So on the
supply chains.
Yeah. So we've gotten these questions a lot, and we're working with CD Smith constantly. They're our builder, and because they just built one over in Milwaukee, they've gone through it, and so that's why we're outsourcing our timber from either the U.S. or Canada, because we're gonna have a lot less issues than if we outsource them into Europe or some other country. And
so you're not buying steel from China, is what you're saying?
No, we're getting wood from Canada.
All right, a little closer, maybe a little friendlier.
Yep, exactly. So I think that's also a part of it, and they've padded a lot of the construction on where they've been with the other projects. So they know they're adding in 6 to 8 months extra lead time on certain products and certain things. So that's all factored in, that we start in September, and the goal would be to be done in September of 2024. So it's a 2-year project. And when we started, as an example, it was only at 18 months. when we look back almost 8 months ago, we were only at 18 months. So it has delayed the process, but that's all built into this.
Okay, yeah, great. So you touched on it earlier in your presentation, just to kind of wrap it up. When do you know to sell the property? What do you need to see in the environment? What has to happen, the marketplace, what has to happen with the building, occupancy, et cetera? When do you sell this so that investors can realize a return?
We want to sell it when it's 95% occupied, and the goal is it's going to take the 2 years to build it. So our pro forma will be done in September of 2024. We're assuming it's taking a full year to lease it up to 95% occupancy, even though we think it's probably going to take 4 months for being a little bit more conservative. So once it's done in 2025, the goal would be to hold it for 1 or 2 years and then sell it. Obviously, if we're in an environment we are today, or if it's not fully leased up, or there's so many different factors, but the point is that we have high confidence that we're going to be ready in a 4 to 6 year period of time to sell the project, and at 95% occupancy. And our cap rate, for those that like to know, so we do have about 10,000 square feet of commercial on the first floor. And that cap rate, we're looking at 6.5%, and the residential will be 4.4%. So we have an exit cap rate of 4.45%, getting to the 17% IRR.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. So you kind of telegraphed or intimated a tough environment. So there's sophisticated investors on this. That's, we attract sophisticated and some institutional investors on Localvest. Thank you for being here, by the way, and listening. And so they know it's a tough environment. You just mentioned it, like, hey, it's a tough environment. Deals are getting pushed to the right. Some private equity firms went pencils down a few months ago. It's tough slogging for anybody trying to raise capital to do a real estate deal right now. How's the deal going? Is this deal going to get done?
Yes. So we are raising $25 million for this project, and we already have 17 million. So we're 8 million short. And like I said, we have a bridge loan. So in case we are short by September, we can continue to raise money and pay that back. So we've also protected ourselves on the interest rate, because an interest rate environment that's increasing can totally kill your return on these projects, even though you have increasing rents. So we protected ourselves with a SOFR rate. So it's 1.9% for those that know SOFR rate. The minimum is 1.9%. The max is 3.5%. And we're going to pay a 325 basis points or 3.25% above that. So a lot of numbers. When we're looking at this, our average curve with this is 5.9%. That's what we're assuming. So we've locked in that rate. The maximum we will pay is 3.5 plus 3.25, so 6.75%. And the minimum we pay is 5.15. So we've averaged it at 5.9 for all of our projections. So we protected ourselves on that.
Gotcha. So, and for those of you who don't know, he's bought an interest rate cap. That's an insurance policy-ish and protection against rising interest rates.
Yes.
So there is a limit to the rate that they'll pay during the project's lifespan. So okay.
It's on end financing. So in September of 2024, we know that it will not be more than 6.75%.
Gotcha. On end financing. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah. So, okay. So 17 million in, that's nothing to sneeze at. So obviously the principals are in. You've got a very substantial family office that's well-heeled and understands real estate. They're backing the project. $17 million of equity already spoken for, 8 left to go, but a bridge loan. So you've already bought an interest rate, or you will purchase an interest rate cap. Yeah, I would say you're on your way. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And we've got a lot of skin in the game with that. Also, another $4 million of guarantee. My apologies, there was one other, between VARIO, VARIO Neutral and Compass, we have over $3 million invested in the project ourselves, plus the $4 million guarantee.
Yeah.
So
That's fantastic. It's a real great show of faith. By the way, this is a Regulation D 506C deal, as is Cyberspatial, a 506C deal, so open to accredited investors only.
Yeah.
I got carried away chatting with you, Eric. So again, there's Eric's email address and his. Please look him up on Localvest. So I want to thank all the presenters today. Eric, thank you. Lawrence, thank you. Ricky. Sean Drake, my surprise appearance from Sean. Thank you. Again, please check out these deals on Localvest. We encourage anybody who hasn't been on Localvest in a while, come back. Things have changed. We're always upgrading the site. Schedule a time with somebody on our team. We're happy to walk you through it, whether you're an issuer sponsor looking to raise capital, or you're an investor and you want to get an orientation to the site. Please give us a shout. And we dropped the Localvest website in the chat, so if you have time, head over, check it out. We're going to do this monthly. Tell you a little bit in 1 minute or less, and then we're going to wrap up. We got upcoming events in the beginning of September. We're going to be partnering with Bunker Labs. Yes, Bunker Labs, the phenomenal veteran organization to help budding entrepreneurs, and we're going to work with them in spotlighting and helping some of their companies raise capital and talking to a bunch of their ambassadors. So fantastic, followed by other Localvest events as well. So thank you everyone for attending. Please check out these great companies, and until next month, thanks so much. I appreciate you all. Oh, and if you want to answer that poll, go right ahead. Let me see, can we post the poll again? It popped up and went away. Let's see. There it is. What category best describes you? Are you an investor, an issuer, or a sponsor interested in Localvest? Belongs to a veteran-owned business. You're here to learn more. Interested in being a presenter in your next webinar. Yeah. And if you've got ideas, anybody who's still hanging around and listening, if you've got ideas for topics that you'd want to see covered, please reach out to us. You can reach me at bill@localvest.com and schedule some time. How many investment opportunities? How many deals do you want to see in the next event? Is too good? You want to see more? Planning your raise. Okay, that's a workshop. Planning your raise as a topic. Yeah, that's I'd love to dig in deep on what specific aspects. I get calls every week. If we're still going, I get calls every week from folks that are like, "Hey, I'm thinking about raising," and the questions really run the gamut, full spectrum of the types of things that they ask. So love to talk about planning your raise as a topic. If we can get more specific on that, let's do it. Or if there's a handful of questions. Can we get a copy or watch today's show? Absolutely, it is recorded, and we will do something. Laura and Martha, just let that person know what we're doing with this, whether we're sending it out. Let Martin know. All right, we're going to get it out to everybody, and thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm going to sign off. All right, be well.